I'm Gia Terraria. I'm here to bake you some manicotti and kill you with the earth.
Have a sip of limoncello. Sit down. What's good? Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of The Newest Olympian. My name is Mike Schubert. I'm the titular Newest Olympian. I am a grown man who never read the Percy Jackson books as a kid. I read them as an adult because I was determining if this was a book series that society had been sleeping on. I said yes, and now I'm seeing if society has also been sleeping on the Heroes of Olympus series, and I'm joined today by a very special guest, someone you've heard on the podcast many a times, so he needs no introduction. It's Stephen Parra, Dr. Stephen Parra. Dr. Stephen Parra, how's it going?
It's going great, Mike. Always glad to be back.
Very happy to have you here. You were on, I think, 30,000 years ago when we started this book. Now, actually, not that long ago. Like, I think over the course of coverage on the book, it's like 6 to 7 months, which is about how long we took to do PJO books. So the pace, we're going, we're moving, we're grooving.
Absolutely.
But you were on for a very early chapter. Now we have you on for kind of like the resolution of the climax chapter. So I'm excited to have you back on. Now, we do have a new question, which was sparked by a suggestion. You have not heard this yet because the Tennessee live show is coming out soon. We're recording this one on September 16th. Someone, I think it was on the subreddit, a couple of people I think have suggested that I do some sort of question of like, oh, if you had a riptide, what would it be? Like, what would the inanimate object be? And I asked this to Michael Hollis on stage, and he misheard it, and now I'm just going to roll with this. You have a thing that's like riptide. It is an inanimate object, but instead of turning into a sword, it turns into a different inanimate object. What would you pick? So, like, for me, I was like, oh, you know, I'd pick something small, like a friendship bracelet, and then it could turn into, you know, my hairbrush or my water bottle, or something that, like, I use all of the time, but is kind of, like, clunky to carry around. I think the real answer for me might be, especially because I love to edit on the go, friendship bracelet that turns into my laptop could be really good. Because then I, you know, wouldn't have to carry it, wouldn't have to take backpack to a lot of places. I also just realized I said backpack. I didn't say my backpack. So in my brain, my backpack is capital B backpack from Dora the Explorer, who sings a 5-minute song to me every time I get something out of him. So given this new question we have officially chiseled into stone, what would be your riptide that is one inanimate object that turns into a different one?
Oh, man. Okay, so like honestly, in the hospital, I have this like kind of fancy pen. It's got 4 different inks that I can like click.
Oh, classic. Yep, I've also been to 3rd grade. Yeah.
Hey, this is very important for patient care.
No, I'm imagining this is the white with the little light blue cap, and then you can push 2 down at the same time to write with blue and green at the same time.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Anyway, you have a 4-color pen.
Yeah. So what I think would be cool is like, it's sort of like a flip-tide situation where if I push a certain ink color down, it'll transform into different stuff. So what would be helpful is like, one, my stethoscope.
Cool.
Another would be my tablet, because I've made a very concerted effort to read in my spare time this year. I do read a lot on my tablet now, though I do love real books, but I think getting to click over to my tablet would be nice. Another would be my water bottle, though I don't know logistically how well that would work.
Nah, it's magic. It'll work perfectly.
Yeah, it's magic. Whatever. Yeah. I guess more accurately, a Yeti with iced tea inside, if we're going to be specific.
Makes sense.
And we'll just say the 4th is like a smoke bomb, so I can get away from situations when I just don't want to talk to people anymore.
Look, always handy. Always good to have on hand. Great. Well, that is a fantastic answer. This is fun. I'm very excited for this new question going forward. And I'm very excited to talk about these 2 chapters. So let's get into them. We're going to be talking about chapters 51 and 52, which are both called Piper, weirdly enough, but we will be renaming them by the end of each chapter. Now, where we last left our heroes, we had the big fight against Porphyrion, and Hera did her nuclear explosion move, and Jason forgot to close his eyes, or Hera didn't give enough warning, which is probably like the real answer. But let's get into where this chapter picks up, and it just starts with Jason, all caps, exclamation point, and then enter, like the next line. So it was like jarring with how much space there was after the first word of it, and it made it feel extra chilling that it was just Jason, space, and then the next line. Like, it really felt like a ringing out of his name.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just a gut-wrenching moment, especially if you don't know what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think all the people that are saying, like, who the F is Jason when the book starts are now like, oh my gosh, Jason.
Yes, my good, close personal friend who I love so dearly. Now, Piper is yelling his name over and over again as she holds him. But he's been knocked out for about 2 minutes, so that's not good. As a doctor, that wouldn't be good, right? That would be not ideal.
Yeah.
Body steaming, eyes rolled back into his head, not clearly breathing. Feels like medical diagnosis equals not ideal.
Yeah, not an ideal situation. You might want to get that person some medical attention.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of you being a doctor, very important. You mentioned your stethoscope. Do you have a cool sticker on the back of your stethoscope?
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting you we're going to find you a small Miles Morales sticker to put on the back of your stethoscope.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome.
Obviously. Tell me after this, we'll figure out the dimensions of your stethoscope, and then we'll be on the prowl for like a 2-inch diameter or whatever.
Amazing
sticker. So anyway, Percy Jackson. So Hera tells Piper that it's no use, and Piper, as the narrator, clues us into the fact that all of the snow is gone, in addition to any signs of a battle. The monsters have been completely vaporized, and this also includes the ruins being restored, but not restored as in the house is back to normal. It's just at its pre-fight status.
Mm-hmm.
The hunters have even been revived, and they are keeping a respectful distance except for Thalia, who is by Piper's side with her hand on Jason's forehead. Thalia screams at Hera that this is all her fault, says that she must fix this, and Hera says, "You cannot talk to me this way," and Thalia just responds by screaming, "Fix him!"
Oh, Hera.
Oh, Hera. She says that she gave Jason a fair warning and that hurting him was not intentional. And Leo asks why Hera. And what was funny is when I was typing this, I was using the notes app and I very quickly typed Hera, and I must have mixed up some keys on the way there, and it autocorrected it to jerk, which I thought was quite fitting for this chapter.
Absolutely fitting for this chapter.
So some jerk was... So Leo asks why this jerk went to her true form mode if that is bad, and she says that she did it to save everyone. Thalia reminds her that mortals cannot look at gods in that form, so she has killed him, and Leo says that this is what the prophecy must have meant with that line of, quote, "Death unleash through Hera's rage." And unleash, I was thinking, is unleash going to fully unlock Jason's memories? Like, is he going to come back and know everything? We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I will say I take umbrage with this from the get-go because Hera's being like, oh, I had to do it. But I read the chapter before this. All the monsters were like backing away. They were scared of her already. And then she's like, I'm going to go supernova anyways. Cover your eyes, kids.
Yes. Felt like a bit of an overkill situation. Also kind of felt like you could have just waited a little bit longer. Because even at this point, didn't Porphyrion already zoop out of there before she did this?
Yes, he zooped out before she even went supernova. The whole thing was ridiculous.
Yeah, so she really didn't need to do this. Like, or at least could have waited half a beat to be like, everyone's eyes are closed, right? Okay, and now we're going to do it. Come on.
Yeah, does everyone have their God Eclipse sunglasses on? Like,
right, very important, very important. Go to your local library and get your God Eclipse sunglasses, your true form glasses. Leo continues, come on, lady. Again, lady's getting a lot of play in these chapters, and I like it. The angry use of lady, very fun. Come on, lady, you're a goddess. Do some voodoo magic on him. Bring him back. Piper then screams that Jason is breathing, and Hera thinks that this is impossible. Piper tries to charm speak him back to life, but it's not working. Hera informs her that healing is not an Aphrodite power, and she says that even I couldn't fix this. But Piper tries again, this time envisioning her voice resonating all the way through the earth and into the underworld. And Jason wakes up, and his eyes were golden for a flash. I don't know if that means anything or if it's just, magic hand wave, but I'm glad Jason is back. I wasn't really worried. I figured he was not going to die here, but I'm happy that he's back.
Absolutely. I remember the first time I read this chapter, it was a big relief, especially because I was so mad that the situation happened in the first place because it seemed so pointless.
So unnecessary, Hera. So unnecessary. Hera, again, thinks that this is impossible. Piper hugs him so hard that he says that she's crushing him. Thalia asks how he feels. Jason says hot. Piper says, you're telling me. No, Jason says hot and that his mouth is dry and that he saw something terrible. And Thalia says, that was Hera, quote, Her Majesty, the loose cannon. And Hera hits her with, that's it, Thalia Grace. I will turn you into an aardvark, so help me. But Piper tells them to stop and gives Jason their remaining nectar that they have. And then she mediates this argument. She tells Hera that she wouldn't have been saved without the hunters, and she tells Thalia that Jason would have been returned without Hera. So maybe they can all just drop the beef.
I love that the thread is an aardvark. I just, of all the things, like, you're going to go have to live with Arthur and DW for the rest of your life.
You're going to have fun with your library card. When you're walking to the...
When you're walking down the street.
Walking down the street.
That's all I know of it.
Everyone you meet and get along with each other. I said, hey, what a wonderful combination. Get along with each other. I don't know. I didn't watch that much Arthur. Anyway, Percy Jackson. Now, rather than make up with each other, they just stare at Piper, causing her to wonder, okay, they're going to kill me. I wonder who's going to do it first. Thalia then tells Piper that she has spirit and puts a silver card into her jacket pocket, saying that she should call her if she ever wants to be a hunter. And I wrote my notes, yeah, right, Piper is going to join the hunters, the ones where you can't date boys? Yeah, sure. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes.
Yeah, she rolled that out at the beginning of the book.
Of course.
She's like, no boys,
not for me. Hera tells Piper that even she was unaware as to why she had Piper along for this quest. Piper had asked way back when, and Hera thinks that the only explanation is, quote, something told me you would be vital to the quest. And I'm wondering, is that a genuine conscience thing, or is this the Ice Princess voice in her ear? Like, was the Ice Princess whispering to her to bring Piper along because she thought that Piper might flip? I wasn't sure exactly what that line was getting at.
If I'm being completely honest with you, I read this whole segment, it's just Hera is completely full of crap. Can I say full of crap?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we can say full of crap.
Okay, great. Yeah. The way I read this line is just that Hera is completely full of crap. You know, she's sitting there being like, no, I exploded to save you guys. You know, Piper, I don't know why I brought you on this quest after all, but it seems like I'm right. I'm great. I'm Hera.
Yeah. She does say something like, thank goodness I was right, or whatever. So yeah, maybe it is all just a bunch of baloney, and Hera doesn't actually have any sort of thing. There's no Ice Princess thing. It's just Hera being a jerk, as my autocorrect would suggest. Hera invites Piper to work with her, to work together with her on the dangers that are yet to come. And Piper doesn't know what to say. And thankfully, Leo breaks the ice by guessing that Porphyrion is going to come back at some point. And Hera confirms, saying that by saving her, they have stopped Gia from waking and bought themselves time. And I had predicted that this was going to be the resolution. We've fended off the evil, but the evil will come back. Very reminiscent of Book 1 Harry Potter. Like, yeah, you kind of defeated Voldemort, but like not really. And this is the same thing. Like, sure, Gaia was kind of a threat here, but it wasn't really Gia. And I got to make sure I always say Gia. She is Gia. Now, speaking of Gia, as I record this with you on September 16th, the first episode where we did the Gia thing came out earlier today. And a couple of people have pointed out that apparently that pronunciation isn't super uncommon. It's not necessarily, I don't want to say one is correct or incorrect, because I don't know. I could ask Dr. Moya. But it's definitely not as common, but it is used because some people credit it to Pangea, because Pangea is spelled that same way with the Gaea.
Yes.
Yeah. So Pangea is spelled that way, and then the book spells it that way. And I've definitely seen Gaia other ways, like Gaia. So maybe that is why the audiobook narrator said or was told to say Gia. Now, it does still, I guess, kind of make sense. I'm still going to call her Gia and imagine her as an Italian teenage girl.
Yeah. I'm Gia Terraria. I'm here to bake you some manicotti and kill you with the earth.
Have a sip of limoncello. Sit down.
Yeah.
So we have the situation of Porphyrion's going to come back, and Hera adds that Porphyrion has risen. He's still here. He's still a threat. He was just wise enough to bounce and return later when he is fully formed. So we'll get a book where we fight against him. That'll be fun. It was a quick duel between him and Jason, so I'm excited for a more thorough conquering of him in whatever book it happens in.
Yeah, I'm excited to get there with you. I haven't read ahead yet, so I'm excited to go on this journey with you. Well, I'm going to get ahead of you very soon, I'm sure.
You're excited to go on this journey a little bit before me. You know, yes. It'll be like I'm living in the West Coast time zone and you're in the East Coast, and it's one of those things where it's like, I wake up at 9 a.m. and a bunch of the days already happened.
Yes.
It'll be like that. You're just slightly ahead enough where you can still be on for some Son of Neptune episodes, which will obviously happen. Now, Porphyrion left once Hera was freed because he knew that the only way that he could be bested was the formula of God plus demigod equals giants go away. Jason asks where he went, and Hera remains silent. Piper dreadfully realizes that he's gone to Greece. And dreadfully, this means we're going to get a Grease book. We're getting a Mamma Mia book. Let's go. Give me the musical book. Give me Pierce Brosnan.
Amazing.
Give me Cher. Give me everyone.
Meryl Streep. Yeah.
Meryl Streep. I've not seen the Mamma Mia film franchise. I know it exists. I love to joke about it. If they don't call Mamma Mia 3 Mamma Threa, I will riot. But I have listened to a lot of ABBA, so I feel like I've seen Mamma Mia.
Yeah, you've basically seen Mamma Mia.
I know Mamma Mia, yeah. But that sounds great. But Piper then catches eyes with Thalia, who clearly has had the same realization. Thalia says that she has to find Annabeth and tell her what happened. Jason grabs her hand and says they never got to talk about this place and what happened here. Thalia says, we can discuss that at Camp Half-Blood. And I'm thinking, is Jason going to Camp Half-Blood? We'll see what ends up happening. But before Thalia leaves, she orders Hera to return Jason to Camp Half-Blood safely. And Hera begins to protest against this, but then Piper steps in to squash this, and then Hera reluctantly agrees.
And like, seriously, Hera? They just pulled you out of this cage. You're just going to strand them in San Francisco? Like, come on.
Also, what else are you doing? It'll take you no time at all. You're a literal goddess. Like, come on. We'll see what she does later. That's all the effort it took. You were really going to put up a fight about that? Are you kidding me? That is so easy. You just like snap your fingers. Come on. It's not that hard. Just do it. Ugh. The worst. Now later, Piper asks Jason what happened here. Jason says it's murky. Hera says that he was given a destiny by being brought to her service. And Jason growls that she forced his mom to do that, and he credits it to her being enraged that Zeus hooked up with the same woman twice. I'm very excited because that was the prevailing thought that I had. I didn't think that this is necessarily some fantastic prediction that I've made, but it feels like a couple of the things that I thought were happening are now happening. Jason thinks that he was the price demanded for leaving the rest of the Graces alone, and Hera defends her decision, explaining that the second time his mom won Zeus over, she had imagined him in his Roman aspect, and this was unprecedented to have a Greek child and a Roman child in the same family, so she had to separate Jason from Thalia. Now, I was a bit confused, and maybe this is explained later, but imagining him in his Roman aspect feels strange. I don't know how this all works. They haven't really explained how this all works, but was this an intentional thing? Was this unintentional? I don't know what do the mortals determine what they're going to look like? It just felt strange, and I kind of had to just be like, yeah, sure, the book works, but like, how did she do this?
I don't really know. I don't get the impression she did it intentionally. I know, like, we did see like earlier in the book when Jason goes to see the North Wind god. I'm forgetting his
Boreas.
Boreas, thank you. You know, while he's just talking with Jason and sees Jason's tattoos, he just transforms into his Roman aspect because like the vibes have changed.
Okay.
And so I think if I'm going to put in my English teacher hat on, not that I ever was one, but I know Thalia was talking about how like her mom was kind of out of control and aimless after Zeus left her the first time.
Oh, different mental state. Yeah, a bit more chaotic. Like
she's more chaotic, but needs that more disciplined version of Zeus to kind of rein her in.
Oh, okay.
And that was more appealing.
I like that. I think that makes more sense. My prevailing theory was that she had a Euro before she had Zeus come, and then she had some pizza before Jupiter came.
I like that too.
Your theory's better. And now I'm hungry, so let's just move on. Hera concludes by saying that this place is where all demigods of his kind start their journey, and by his kind she means Roman. Jason instinctually knows that Roman demigods are left here to meet Lupa, the immortal wolf that raised Romulus and Remus. And again, this is something earlier when Lupa was coming around, I was like, oh yeah, this is very similar to the Romulus and Remus situation. No, this is the Romulus and Remus. Lupa just means wolf in Latin, so I didn't know to necessarily be like, it's the same wolf, but yeah, okay, it's the same wolf. And I do think that's kind of fun. I am intrigued to see what the differences between this camp and Camp Half-Blood are, but the fact that like the initiation ceremony is okay, you get dropped off here and we see if you can survive living with a wolf is fun, but also tough job for Lupa. Constantly raising children? That sounds hard. I
guess, but it sounds like she eats a lot of them, so I don't know how much she really raises them.
Yeah, I guess the worst case scenario is tasty snack.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hera says that Jason is correct and that only those strong enough survive. Leo asks, what happened to Jason then? Because he never made it to Camp Half-Blood. And Hera says that is correct. And Piper realizes that he went somewhere else that is meant for demigods that is different than Camp Half-Blood. And she wonders where it is. Jason turns to Hera and says that the memories of that place are restoring, but not the location. And he guesses that she's not going to tell him, and she confirms, saying that him finding his own way is part of his destiny, for he is to unite the two great powers when he does. And then she also adds, we also need 4 more books, Jason.
So the foreshadowing for where could he have gone seems pretty heavy-handed at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. But I would imagine that in that helicopter ride, when he's staring at the window like, what's under that bridge? The tunnel, what's there? Like, and again, of course, Piper doesn't seem to be picking up on some of the more obvious subtleties. And maybe it's me Monday morning quarterbacking where it's easier for us to be reading a narration as opposed to just being a human in the scene where you can't hear and see everyone's thoughts. But Jason honestly staring out the window at a particular location that's not too far from here feels like that might be where the camp is. And we'll see. I don't even know if they're going to get to it in this book. I know there's a couple chapters left. I don't know if this will be in the second book. But if it takes them too long to go to this place, I'll be furious because it seems very obvious. If this gets dragged out like 10 chapters, I will be so angry. I think I would be genuinely upset. But we will just have to see what happens. Jason finds it odd that Hera wants help but won't give him any answers, and Hera says that giving the answers makes them invalid. Quote, that is the way of the fates. You must forge your own path for it to mean anything. And, you know, Hera has not been cooking with gas this entire chapter, but she's kind of spitting fire here. I like this quote. I think for certain things, this certainly applies. This is, you know, if you play some sort of game that has particular choices and you don't know what happens next. Like you and I talk about Baldur's Gate all the time. When I do something and I'm not sure that I'm doing it right and then it pans out correctly, that's way more cool than if I looked up what was going to happen on the subreddit. You know, like it's so much more rewarding for you to carve your own path that I really like what she's saying here. So I think she's kind of got it locked down here.
I'll give her this one.
Right. I don't want to be off and handing it over to Hera. I think in this instance, you got to hand it to her, especially with the fates and stuff. Like, yeah, it's less about knowing what's there and seeing how you get there. We also see this with Hades and Hades 2, which I won't talk about the Hades 2 thing because someone on the subreddit made a very poorly worded post where they were like very angry at me for spoiling Hades 2. But it is a good piece of feedback that I shouldn't spoil Hades 2. In my brain, it was like early access has been out for 3 months, guys. What do you mean you haven't played it all the way through? So instead, I will not say anything. But even in Hades 1, like, you know, they play up the fates of it a lot, and they talk about how, you know, something can be written, because in Hades, the video game, it's like this fated list, and it says things that are going to happen. But it's not about knowing what's going to happen. It's how you get there. It is the ultimate. It's not the journey, it's the destination. Or no, it's not the, no, it's the journey. It's not the destination. Yeah. I use those interchangeably just because I love making that joke that I don't ever remember what the actual phrase is. And I'm pretty sure it's not
about the destination. It's the journey.
Yeah. It's the journey. It's not the destination, but I just flip them all the time because it's my favorite thing. That, and it's the friends we made along the way.
Yes. I do actually remember much earlier in the book, Annabeth makes the same point.
Oh,
she kind of has some, inklings about what's going on with Jason. And he's like, well, will you tell me? She's like, well, no, because if I tell you, you'll try to prevent the prophecies from happening. Like the less you know, usually the better it goes.
Right. I remember her saying this.
It is like a pretty like consistent point of advice, I think, across Annabeth and Hera.
Yeah.
To try to just use as little information as possible to get the job done.
Right. Annabeth is more coming at it from I've seen some time travel movies before, and there's some of them where as much as you try to change things, it's not going to change in the end. And I'm thinking of a few, but they're plot twisty, so I won't spoil it for anyone. Because then if you're watching a plot twist movie like that, like then there's no point. Hera congratulates the team, then instructs them to return to Camp Half-Blood for the next phase. Jason then goes, which you won't tell us about, and narrator Piper even called this grumping. And I know that the narrator's using things, you know, when it's like said or exclaimed or yelled, whatever. I get that that is probably just a book being a book and not necessarily the narrator editorializing. But to think of Piper thinking that, oh, Jason was being so grumpy here was funny to me. But after grumping about this, Jason continues the grumping, saying that he bets that Hera destroyed Tempest, the cool storm spirit horse. And he says, oh, we're going to have to walk there, aren't we? And Hera says that she didn't destroy Tempest, but she doesn't know where he went, quote, or whether you'll see him again. Okay, yeah. We're not gonna see Tempest again? Sure. Very nice, Hera. Tempest is coming back the next time Jason has to go somewhere, and it's going to be great. And if Tempest and Blackjack meet, I will be so happy. I need this.
We need to get a Tempest Blackjack countdown. We'll just see how long it takes.
Please. I need it. Hera thanks them and says that the least that she can do is help them one last time. Then the world turns upside down and Piper nearly blacks out, but comes to and realizes that they are at Camp Half-Blood. And they are literally on top of the Aphrodite cabin table. Piper has one foot in Drew's pizza. Great. Her nausea kicks in a little bit, and I'm thinking, oh, someone going to throw up on Drew. That'd be so good. It'd be so classic high school lunchroom kind of thing. Piper is able to hold it together. Leo is not able to hold it together. He hurls in a bronze brazier, and the narrator, Piper, says something along the lines of, oh, I bet the gods weren't happy about that offering. And then Chiron goes, Jason? He's completely shocked that Jason is here. This guy wants Jason dead so badly. He wants Jason to die so badly.
Oh, I wasn't expecting you to be back so soon.
Oh, I had already commissioned a headstone and bought a grave plot. Oh, no, I hope it's refundable. The Aphrodite campers are all just jaw-dropped staring at Piper, and she goes, hi, we're back. And that's the end of chapter 51, A+. I have retitled this, I Ruin My Rival's Lunch, just because in the moment it could be a Hera thing or it could be a Drew thing. So that was me. Did you have a retitling of chapter 51?
I said, I Charm Death.
That's very good. That's very good. Well, now we're going to take our break here for The Lost Hero, where we'll talk about updates with the podcast, whether that be new merch or the cool bonus episodes we're doing on Patreon or the live shows or whatever else is going on. And then we'll come back to discuss chapter 52. Hello and welcome to the Lost Hero Houston edition. I'm coming to you live from the laundry room of Kelly's parents' house. We are in town for family trips, and I was also here for the New Orleans show, so shout out to everyone who came to that show recently. But let's get into various podcast update stuff. So as you may be able to tell, we are concluding our coverage of The Lost Hero. This is the penultimate Lost Hero book chapter episode. We cover the final 4 chapters in the next episode, and then we've got in-between stuff, and then we're getting into The Son of Neptune. So we're going to do one episode about the Percy Jackson Ultimate Guide, which is a recording from an incredible live show we did in Vienna, Virginia last year. Then we've got a classic Dr. Moya Myth episode, and then we get into The Son of Neptune. If you cannot wait for The Son of Neptune, there are some sneak peeks, and there will be more sneak peeks of things that we've done, mainly video footage from live shows. Those are going to be up on the Patreon over at thenewsolympian.com/Patreon. Some things are already there, like me reacting and reading live to a big plot twist that happens early on in the books. That's available for all TNO patrons. Then I've got bonus episodes and videos that are going to be from what's to come in The Son of Neptune. So a lot of people have messaged, oh my God, I can't wait for you to get to that book. Well, you don't have to if you go to thenewsolympian.com/Patreon. Speaking of that, I'm also going to put the New York live show that we did, which was the stream of the first 2 chapters. I'm going to put that up on the Patreon for purchase. So if you missed the live stream of it and you missed the replay period, then you will be able to download it. And then if you did buy a ticket, I'll be sending you an email with information about how to access the replay again. So we're going to put that back up live so that everybody can have a version of that show. And again, that was over the first 2 chapters of The Son of Neptune. The guest was Johnny, and it was a wonderful time. Now, speaking of live shows and stuff, part of the reason I was in Texas is that I was going to also do a live show in Dallas on October 30th. But because of the family trip that was the center of all of this changing, I might not be able to make that show. So it's looking like we're going to push it to December, most likely December 15th. And I'll make sure to make an announcement when that is official. And if you already have bought tickets, just check your emails and you'll get instructions about what happens if you can no longer make the new date. I'm sorry, it's just how travel and all these sorts of things worked out that I don't think that original date is going to happen, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. Now, I've mentioned the Patreon a couple times. I want to give a shout out to the folks who have joined the Patreon most recently. A bunch of people have joined recently, and I think that's very cool. Thank you so much for the support. I truly, truly appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now to shout out the most recent additions to the team. So shout out to our newest Ultra God tier patron, Andrea, not Andrea. I love this. That's so fantastic. My war against how do I pronounce this name. Shout out to our newest God tier patrons, Necro T-Rex, Auntie Kathy M, Ryan Downs, and Charlotte. And shout out to our newest Demigod tier patrons, 4B10_, Marley Kimball Davis, Mr. Trantastic, and Rashav Rout. Also, a name correction for Michael Pluta. My notes app last time changed that to Michael Pluto. I'm sure you get that all the time, and I'm really sorry about that. And also a tier correction for Shay Lawson, who I said was in the Demigod tier, but is in the God tier. And also to Taco Blowfish, who is a member of the God tier, but I didn't get a notification because they were a Potterless patron and then rejoined. If this is your situation as well, please shoot me a DM on Patreon. I don't get a notification when people who were patrons before come back, because technically it's all still under the same account as the Potterless Patreon. So if I've never given you a shout out and you deserve one because you've joined as a TNO patron, please shoot me a DM and I will give you your shout out. Now, if you are all caught up on the newest Olympian and you're looking for some new content to consume, you are in luck, because I make a bunch of content. I make a lot of podcasts. And if you like the vibes of this podcast, I think you'll like the vibes of the other shows that I make. And one that's got elite vibes is Meddling Adults. Meddling Adults is a podcast game show for charity where I host and guests compete to solve children's mysteries in a contest of who can get the most right or who can give the silliest guesses that get you bonus points, or a combination of the two. But whoever wins earns money for a charity of their choosing. It is fun. You can play along at home and see how you do, and it's all for a good cause. That is available wherever you listen to your podcasts by searching for Meddling Adults or by going to meddlingadults.com. And I really hope to continue season 5 in the new year once things settle down a little bit in my very busy life at the moment. Now, unless you're listening on Patreon, where you get access to ad-free episodes, you're going to hear words from a few sponsors to make it feasible for me to be a full-time podcaster. Some of those ads will be read by me, and others of them won't be. The ones that aren't read by me are inserted locally. So if you live in New Orleans, don't be surprised if you hear an ad for Café du Monde. I finally had the beignets from Café du Monde, and they are worth the hype. I had 5 of them in one day, and I do not regret it at all. Do my arteries regret it? We'll find out later in life. But currently, my soul and my stomach, obviously, very, very happy about that decision. But once those ads are complete, we'll get back into this episode of the newest Olympian. And we are back. We're here to chat chapter 52. It's also called Piper, but we will retitle it. This one opens with, quote, "Piper didn't remember much about the rest of the night." And then I wrote in my notes, well, then why is she narrating? Give me the details. And this is not necessarily your banger of an opener, but it's more of a let's just get into this chapter, which is a bit of a chunky one. So I can understand this being more of a let's just cut right to the Annabeth chase and get into this chapter. Now, our team had to tell the same story to everyone until Chiron realized that they were very tired and sent them off to bed. Piper loves that she can finally sleep in a real bed, and she crashes instantly. She wakes the next morning feeling great, and it is a gorgeous day. She sees Drew and the Drew crew glaring at her in the cabin, so she goes, "Morning, beautiful day." And Drew says that she's the reason that they're going to be late for breakfast, so Piper should clean the cabin for inspection. And narrator Piper tells us that before the quest, she wouldn't have reacted well to this, but now she just laughs, and this is great. Small potatoes. You've fended off evil and many times over have defeated big, actually scary monsters. You can handle a mean girl TM. So her laughing this off, great. I love this for Piper.
Oh, yeah, it's so great. Just like, you?
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of once when we were in the hospital and the baby was here, all of my little worries about tiny little things of like, oh, this thing for work is not going well, or oh no, I checked an Instagram story and my friends hung out with me last night and didn't invite me. Like all those worries just flushed away. It's like, okay, yeah, I gotta keep a human alive. These minor concerns, bye-bye. Drew's smug expression turns to one of concern, asking what Piper is up to, and Piper says challenging her, and then I remembered, oh right, which obviously was a very easy thing to see coming given how much Mitchell hyped it up earlier in the book, but I had completely forgotten that this was on the table and was very excited to see what this duel would be, what this challenge would become. Piper suggests they go to the arena at noon, and she says that Drew can pick the weapons. Power, move. Oh, beautiful. I love it. I love it. Piper then catches Mitchell and Lacey smiling like they are looking forward to this. Piper turns to them and says, I missed you guys. We're going to have a great time when I'm senior counselor. Love this, calling the shots, showing the confidence, talking trash already. A+, good job, Piper. And all in all, this is just like a much more fun Piper than we've had before. I like this newly founded, very confident Piper. Piper in this particular chapter rips. And if this Piper is the Piper we get from here on out, I'm very excited. Because I will be honest, up until this point, Piper felt fine. Like, she felt like tofu. It was just like, yeah, she's as cool as whatever is happening around her. But now, this is fun. This is cool. I like this Piper a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's actually, once I realized what chapters these were, I went back and read the first chapter that she meets like Drew in the cabin and everything to just kind of contrast. And it's like, I love how much Piper has grown.
Yeah.
Kind of comes back. It's not about the destination, it's the journey. And she's learned so much. I think she was embarrassed about her father. She was scared about the reputation that Selena had as like a traitor. She's worried that she's going to betray all these demigods. But now, like, her dad's safe. She knows she can kick some serious booty. And she has bigger fish to fry than Drew. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a great thing to see how far she's come.
Totally. Then, as the narrator, Piper says that Drew turned bug juice red. Is that anything? Have you ever heard this phrase before? Is this a Texas thing?
Not to my knowledge.
Let's Google bug juice red.
And not Beetlejuice. That's a new movie.
Bug juice. That's so funny that the first result is from H-E-B, the Texas grocery store.
Oh, I have seen this.
Yeah, it's like one of those pop top little juice things for kids. Oh my God, the bugjuice.com. This is like, it looks like this website was made in Microsoft Paint. This is great. Wow.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
The graphic design choices is so interesting. Everyone pause the podcast. Go to bugjuice.com. This is incredible. It is a jarring mix of clip art, actual photos of the product, poorly focused and out of focused Photoshop, and then just like text boxes, like Microsoft Word effects. Oh my gosh. Wow.
My favorite aspect of this is the copyright is from 2022, which means it was updated in the past 2 years. This is like an intentional choice.
Here's what's interesting, because one of the headings on bugjuice.com is merchandise. So obviously I clicked that and it brought me to drinkbugjuice.com, which is just like a different website that looks like it's even older. But this one says copyright 2024. This is like Neopets era. It's even older. It's the same picture of the girls drinking it, but now it says love the bug. Oh my gosh. But where's the merch?
I don't know.
The merch went away. Damn it. Oh my God. So I've never had this before. Have you ever drank this thing? I don't think I've ever had this, but I just like understand this type. It's very Kool-Aid jammers where like you should not give this to your child.
Yeah. There may have been some random like community baseball game I went to, or like after summer camp, might have gotten shoved in my hands, but I don't think I've ever intentionally drank bug juice.
Okay, so you can get merchandise because on the everyone go to this website too. I can't recommend this enough. Oh my God. On the side of drinkbugjuice.com, there's a subcategory called Shop by Price, and the options are below $10, below $30, below $100, below $150, and then below $654. Why is that the jump? 10, 30, 100, 150, 654. I've also clicked it. Nothing costs that. The most expensive thing is a flu juice jacket. So apparently there's bug juice and flu juice. And this jacket is out of stock. It just looks like a windbreaker. And it's $295. What's going on? A sweatshirt, a flu juice sweatshirt is $185. It's also out of stock.
Does it come with like a lifetime supply of bug juice?
Is flu juice a wrapper I haven't heard of? And it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, it says Supreme on it. So this t-shirt costs $6,000. What is going on?
I don't.
You can get a 24 case of bug juice for $23, and you can get a pair of mesh shorts that say flu juice on the bottom left for $85. What is going on? The world of bug juice. Okay, this is just a podcast.
Yeah. Welcome to Jovial Juices.
There we go.
The Juice-based podcast with Mike and Steve.
Here's what's interesting. You can get, if you go to the wholesale section, if you're a wholesaler of bug juice, you can get the different promotional things like stickers and coolers and stuff, and they're all listed as $0. So you can get a bunch of things for free. So that's cool.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
There's also a category called special items, which includes bug bite. So apparently they also make anti-itch bug cream. And then they have a pandemic section.
Oh my gosh.
The pandemic section includes, okay, so it's not like of the pandemic. They should probably rebrand this because it's not about 2020 pandemic. It's about alcoholic drinks that you can get, but also, so there's pandemic vodka and beer, and then like a bug juice pandemic flavor, and then a bug juice candy bar. Oh my God, what is happening? Where am I?
You are at drinkbugjuice.com.
I am at drinkbugjuice.com. There's a mystery flavor. I can click here for the mystery flavor. Oh, you put in the code and then it tells you what the mystery flavor is? Oh my God. Thank you, Rick Riordan. Okay, now if I ever get him on the pod, I'm only asking him about bug juice. This is nuts. This is wild. Holy moly. Wow. Okay, let's get back to the podcast. As much as I don't want to, I really don't want to. I want to do this forever, but we have a lot of chapter to discuss.
We do.
And I have to take care of the baby after this. So if Kelly's like, why did the recording take 12 hours? Be like, you don't understand. You don't understand. Oh my God. All right. Anyway, Percy Jackson is the loudest, most all caps anyway Percy Jackson I've ever done. Oh, man.
Whatever makes it into the pod. We talked about bug juice way longer than that.
Sherry, you're not deleting any of that. All of that's staying. All of that's in. That's gold. Gold. Drew turned bug juice red, which we all know opens a whole can of worms. Quote, even her closest lieutenants looked a little nervous. This wasn't in their script. And this wasn't in their script is a very fun turn of phrase. I really, really enjoy that turn of phrase. I think that's fun.
I just love it because it's like, it feels so specific to that kind of bully. Like, they're just so ready to be like, we're going to make fun of how they look or just like break their self-esteem. And it's all of a sudden just like, oh, you're off script. What's going on?
She's the controlling, manipulating bully, not the physical force bully like Clarice is.
Exactly.
Hey, where's Clarice been? But
I was thinking that all day today.
But she's the one where it's all about putting people in their places, being the puppet master, and, you know, Piper's cut off her marionette string, much like NSYNC in It's Gonna Be Me. So she's not happy with this. Drew starts to protest, but Piper hits her with the receipts that she can do this because she's completed a quest, which, fun fact, is one more than she has completed. Love using math to be sassy. I love using math to be sassy. I do this a lot because I am a fan of the New York Yankees. You might be familiar with their work on the baseball field. They are very good. They have won 27 world championships, which is the most of any baseball franchise and maybe any sports franchise of like the American core four sports. It's the most by a significant margin. So when people from other teams trash talk me, I just usually reply with a screenshot of me Googling 27 minus however many things they've won. And the 27 rings, bro, is such an overused Yankee thing, but that's why I like doing the math thing. And for anyone trying to think I'm some sort of front runner, born and raised in New Jersey, I'm a legitimate card-carrying fan of the New York Yankees. So I'm not some weirdo that just like them because I'm 32 years old and the Yankees won everything in the late 90s, which they did. But anyway, I hope the Yankees win the World Series this year. Be very, very good. But using math to be sassy, great. Always a good move. Always a great move for trash talking. And she continues after the math trash talk, saying that she thinks that she can do a better job as head counselor. So unless Drew wants to step down, it is a challenge. And then she turns to Mitchell for a fact check. Also great to use in a trash talking situation. And Mitchell validates this claim. Lacey is giddy with joy. Fantastic all around. This is so good. As someone who is, I would say, too good at trash talk, because I recently have tried to talk to people about things in New York City, and they've gotten so mad at me, and I was trying to be helpful. I was playing softball, and this was, okay, so this is a good time for the podcast. I'm going to be quick because I know we're in tangent town. I was playing softball. I was in left field. Two girls walked behind me, like, while the game was actively going on, and they said, "Are you Mike?" And I was like, I don't want to have the first thought of like, well, clearly they recognize me from the podcast. I thought maybe they knew me because I was like recently on this team. There's a group me. Maybe they were like, oh, that's Mike. And they're like checking to make sure they're on our team. So I was like, yeah, that's my name. I was also distracted because the game's going on. It's the playoffs. I'm trying to make sure that everything's okay. And then a foul ball happens. I run over and then they were saying, oh, we listen to the podcast. And then I tried to be as normal as I could be because responding, yes, that's my name. Unhinged sociopathic response. Weird ass thing for me to say. But Then I tried to be as normal as I could be before the next ball was hit. But there were these people playing Frisbee on the field next to us, which was not being used. And the Frisbee kept going into left field. I said something to the effect of, hey, can you guys move a little bit over? Like, genuinely didn't want them to get hit by softballs. A lot of times in Central Park games, people don't realize like how far people can hit them because we use metal bats in some leagues. So the balls go quite far. I'm genuinely trying to keep these people not injured. And the dude unleashes. It was like a guy and his girlfriend, I'm assuming, and he just like rips into me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. So I guess I might have like said it in a sassy way. Then I was coming home from a different softball game weeks later, and there was a dude letting a dog just pee on the sidewalk, like right in front of our doorway to get into our building. Oof. And it's a big problem. The management messages about it all the time. They have signs up there. The porters who work on our building, the nicest people that I've ever met, they have to clean it up. I've talked to them in the past about how annoying it is to clean up because they got to like hose it down, spray these chemicals, all this kind of stuff to try to like get the stains out of the sidewalk and the smell away. And this dude just letting the dog pee right in front of the door. So I said something in fact, like, oh, come on, man. Like, you can't just move him to the curb. And this dude threatened to fight me. He said he was going to, something to the effect of like, if I ever see you again, I'm gonna, and then I was already gone before he could finish the sentence. But like, I think I'm too good at it. I'm instigating what I don't mean to. So anyway, all this to say, someone who knows a lot about trash talk, to do the fact check with Mitchell, oh, it's so good. It's so good. Gosh, so proud of Piper here.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Now, some other kids in the cabin are excited as well, and Drew goes, step down, you're crazy. And then Piper whips out Catoptris and holds it underneath Drew's chin. Feels like slight overkill. I like the intensity, but this feels like a little bit much. Maybe you could have just unsheathed it and not necessarily held it right at her neck, but you do you, Piper.
Nah, Pipes means business.
She does. Everyone backs up, including one guy who crashes into a makeup table. Love the comedic effect here. I can only imagine that he Wilhelm screamed as well. Just as he does it, and it says makeup poofs into the sky. A plus comedic timing.
That got like a genuine audible chuckle from me when I reread that part of the chapter.
So funny. So then we get a quote from Piper, a duel then. If you don't want to wait until noon, now is fine. You've turned this cabin into a dictatorship, Drew. Selena Beauregard knew better than that. And I wrote my notes, did she? And then she goes on about how Aphrodite is about love and all forms of love and giving love and having good vibes and all these other things. It's more than just looking good, and that's all Drew cares about. And then Piper continues on. Selena made mistakes, and I wrote, "You think?" But in the end, she stood by her friends, and I wrote, "Yeah, the ones who were left alive." We don't need to rehash my anti-Selena stance. Yeah. It has been well documented. Piper says that she wants to set things right and thinks that Mom, love calling her this, Mom will be by her side. And I was so stoked for the arena battle, but Drew just steps down. I don't like this. I wanted to see the big fight. I kind of get the choice here, and we've got other things to wrap up, but I kind of wanted to see Piper absolutely smoke Drew.
That would have been cool. I felt like this made a lot of sense for the person that Drew is to just drop it.
Yeah, more so, the only thing worse than losing to Piper in this battle is everyone seeing her lose to Piper in this battle in Drew's eyes. So she doesn't want to risk it. Instead, she just steps down and then says, but if you think I'm ever going to forget this, McLean. And I'm thinking, yeah, you're going to be embarrassed by this forever. What are you talking about? This is such an empty threat. And Piper is on the same line of thinking as me because she says, quote, oh, I hope you won't. Now run along to the dining pavilion and explain to Chiron why we're late. There's been a change of leadership. Oh, man. So good. So good. Now, Drew is about to leave alone, and before she does so, Piper hits her with, oh, and Drew, honey? Oh, and Drew, honey?
Honey.
Oh, so sweet. So good. So fantastic. Oh, my goodness gracious. She then continues as Drew turns around. In case you think I'm not a true daughter of Aphrodite, don't even look at Jason Grace. He may not know it yet, but he's mine. If you even try to make a move, I will load you into a catapult and shoot you across Long Island Sound. Love this. Let's have Jason give a bit of agency in this, but I love this thought process from Piper. But also for you as a resident person who lived in Long Island, is it Long Island Sound or the Long Island Sound? I feel like I've always heard heard it referred to as the Long Island Sound.
I've always called it the Long Island Sound.
Okay, that's what I thought.
But I don't know. I'm not native to that area, so I don't know.
That was my thought, but I don't know. Long Island people, I guess, write in if you can figure out how to turn on your computer. Okay, anyway, Drew... No, that's a Staten Island joke. That's not a Long Island joke. Anyway, Drew turns around so quickly that she bumps into the door frame. Ugh. The cabin is silent. All eyes are on Piper. She's worried that this won't go over well. She's thinking, oh, I didn't like that Drew kind of ruled by force. Was this too much in her lane of leadership? But then they all cheer loudly and carry Piper out of the cabin on their shoulders all the way to the pavilion, even though she's still in her pajamas and her hair is still a mess. But Piper doesn't care. She's never felt better. I love this. This is great. The vibes are off the charts. Yes. Fantastic.
Chef's kiss. Just,
it's so good.
Wonderful.
Now, later, she has an appointment at the big house. Chiron is in human form, and he welcomes her in for the video conference. He takes her to the computer room. Remember when we had computer rooms?
Oh. Yeah.
What a better
time.
Era of life. Fire up the old compact and wait 15 minutes for it to turn on. Oh, my goodness.
Play Oregon Trail until the next class period has to
play
start.
Backyard baseball, which is coming back, and I'm so excited, but I've never really... I mean, some people, you text me, a fair number of my friends texted me to be like, are you excited that Backyard Baseball is back? And I responded to all of them. I still have it installed on my computer. I have an emulator on my computer to do two things. Play Backyard Baseball, which I've had since college, set up, and 2, to run Hades Early Access because it's a Windows-only thing and I have a Mac. That's all I emulate. So for years, basically a decade, I had a video game emulator to just play Backyard Baseball and Backyard Baseball 2001 and Backyard Baseball 2003.
Immaculate.
Perfect games. So he takes her to the computer room, which is lined with celestial bronze walls, and it has the only computer in camp. Chiron explains that demigods and technology don't really mix, citing an example of a kid in Cincinnati who Googled Gorgons and got more than he bargained for. Chiron, this person is dead.
I want to read this story so bad.
I do want to hear the story, but it also does imply, I mean, maybe the kid survived. But my first thought was, this is a dead child, Chiron. A human has died. I know you want Jason dead, but a human is dead. Now, Chiron says that they will have to keep the call brief. He leaves. Piper looks around the office, which has Party Pony novelty shirts, old school music, cassette tapes, and a boombox, and photos of demigods like it's a hall of fame. She sees some famous people that she recognizes, and one photo of a kid with green eyes and black hair, arm in arm with Annabeth, and she figures this must be that Percy Jackson I keep hearing things about.
Ooh, I don't know about that. That doesn't track.
She wonders if she will be up there one day, now finally feeling like she's a part of something bigger. And I like this. This is a sweet little moment. She fires up the call, and on the other end, as I had suspected leading into this, is Coach Hedge. They talk about how her dad's return was front page news, Jane was fired for cover-ups and not notifying the police, a new staff was hired, vetted by Tristan's life coach, Gleason Hedge.
Ooh.
Yes. So good. This is glorious. I love this.
Yes, I love it too.
The newspaper said that Tristan had no memory of the past week. The media is loving it. Some people think it's a publicity stunt to promote a movie. Others think that he was kidnapped by terrorists or rabid fans. He is the talk of the town. Hedge promises to Piper that they're going to keep him out of the public eye for another month while he recovers. Quote, your dad's got more important things to do, like resting and talking to his daughter. Hedge, oh my gosh, what a sweetie. Look at Hedge. I love Hedge.
I love Hedge so much.
And I think it's probably just because a lot of people listening to the podcast are now rereading these books as they're older, but there's definitely been a consistent theme of people talking in the Discord and on the subreddit and on other social media platforms about how TNO is making them love Hedge. And as a teen, when they read this, they didn't like Hedge and they found him annoying. Natural. But like Hedge is great. He is a perfect character. He is exactly executed as he is supposed to be. Yes, he's supposed to be annoying and derail the quest. That's what makes him fantastic.
Yes.
If there's anything I contribute to the Percy Jackson fandom, if it makes more people appreciate Coach Hedge, I'm happy. I don't need people to hate Luke or Selena. If people love Hedge because of TNO, I'm so stoked about it because I'm all in on Hedge.
Absolutely.
Piper warns Hedge not to get too comfy in Hollywood, and Hedge basically says, you seen these people? They make Aeolus look normal. I'm not going to be too cozy up in here. He pledges to return as soon as he can, but not until Tristan is back to 100%. Hedge also got the Bay Area Park Service a new helicopter, and the Ranger a new job as Tristan's personal pilot, and Piper thanks him for everything. Hedge is doing very well in this role.
Yeah, everything's nice and tidy. It's great.
Mm-hmm. He then says, quote, yeah, well, I don't try to be awesome. It just comes natural. Classic Hedge. Sure, he's a bit of a softie, but he's still got that confidence. And then he introduces Piper to her dad's new assistant, Melly. Ah,
yay, Melly's back.
So good. She deserved to be an assistant. She thrived in this role. Unjust that she would have been fired quickly in the Aeolus job, so to have this one is great. And Piper asks, does Tristan know that you're spirit, an aura? And she says no, but she loves this job because it's, quote, N dash a breeze. I had to bust out the ham horn app that I've had on my phone since I had an iPod Touch. So I guess it's just always been in the rotation, never deleted this app. That and Shazam, the only two good apps that have ever existed. But, great pun. Great pun.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Melly. I hope Melly sticks around. Please get married to Coach Hedge. Give me the wedding. If that's not one of the stories in the Demigod Diaries, I'm going to be very mad. Give me the Melly Hedge wedding. I want to see it. Come on. Come on.
Please. Uncle Rick, please.
Please. Piper is happy, then begins to ask where her dad is, so Melly kisses Gleason on the cheek and whisks him away with, come on, you old goat. Love that. Very good. Very good little turn of phrase. Tristan then joins the chat and says, Pipes. He's looking back to normal, which relieves Piper, but it makes her a little bit sad because normal isn't the ideal. Normal might mean we've got the Tristan that kind of ignores her and stuff, and the Tristan that Piper has to fight for attention. Piper knows that her time might be limited. She starts the internal timer knowing that 30 seconds is usually as long as these things go, so she wants to make the most of it. She asks Tristan how he's feeling. He apologizes for causing any concern. He says that he's not sure what happened, but he says that Coach Hedge has been a godsend. And I thought, godsend? And then Piper literally next line thinks, what a fitting choice of words. Tristan says that her new school sounds nice, apologizing for believing Jane before. Piper checks, asking if he can remember anything, and he says that he does, so she gets chills, but then he says that he remembers that he loves her and that he is proud of her, and that makes me very happy. And then he asks if she's happy at her new school. And I'm thinking, does he mean Camp Half-Blood? And then Piper, after fighting back tears, says that she's happy, but then corrects. It's more of a camp than a school. But she thinks that she's going to be happy here. Tristan asks her to call as often as she can, and he wants her to come home for Christmas, and then he tells her that she is a wonderful young lady, and he doesn't say it enough. And he's really laying on the cheese here, and this is starting to make me realize when I was very anti-Tristan early on, why it felt like people were cutting him a lot of slack. He's clearly good now. He seemed more like a jerk before, but I don't know if he's realized the errors of his ways and now he's good, but we definitely have a new Tristan. This is a different Tristan, or at least our understanding of him is different now that we've gotten to meet him a little bit more. Seems like a good dude, so I can understand why people are more pro Tristan.
For sure. I think, there's just maybe some residual, at least emotions from this whole experience that is still retained, and that's what he's carrying over.
Yes.
But I really appreciated him in this scene.
Yeah, he's doing a really good job. So it makes me very, very happy. Now, he says that she reminds him of her mother, and he thinks that Grandpa Tom is right about her having the most powerful voice, and he bets that she will outshine him one day. Quote, they're going to remember me as Piper McLean's father, and that's the best legacy I can imagine. That is so sweet. That is really fantastic.
I got real teary-eyed, that little line. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I got choked up for sure, especially as new dad. Like, yeah, those are things like I would love if I was just the little one's dad, as opposed to Mike Schubert, that guy who just wouldn't stop telling people he took Latin in high school. Like, it would be fantastic. It would be so good. So yeah, I also got choked up. Really, really sweet. Piper wants to respond, but knows that she would just erupt into tears. She can only muster up putting her hand on the screen and nodding. Melly informs Tristan that the studio is calling, so he gets ready to go, and narrator Piper says, quote, and he did sound genuinely annoyed to go. Great, good, yay, new Tristan. I like him a lot. Piper tells him that it's okay, and she says that she loves him. He winks back and ends the call. Could you not say love you too? Is that too much to ask? Come on, man. Like, I know this is a cute dad moment, but why not wink and then just be like, you too, at the very least, or like, love ya. Like, I know it's not the biggest deal, but it's so easy. It's so
baby
easy.
Steps, Schubert. Baby steps.
You're right. Piper thought it would be only 30 seconds, but this may have been up to a minute. It was at least 45 seconds, she thinks. So
at least progress. A 50% improvement. That's right. Big.
It is big. She recognizes that this is a small step, but she's happy with it. Now, back in the Commons at Camp Half-Blood, she sees Jason chilling on a bench with a basketball between his feet. Oh, boy. Oh, yes. Quote, he was sweaty from working out, but he looked great in his orange tank top and shorts. And apparently his scars are healing thanks to the Apollo campers. But, quote, his arms and legs were well muscled and tan, distracting as always. I love how much they are teenagers. It's great.
Yep.
His hair looks golden in the sun, like it's Midas style.
Does this imply that there's just Camp Half-Blood tank tops now, too?
That's what I was wondering. Do they also have tank tops? Or did he do the cool hot guy thing? Did he cut his sleeves off? Something I have never had enough confidence to do. But yeah, are there official Camp Half-Blood tank tops? If so, this can get added to the running list of merchandise that they should make that I will make because I am afraid that I would get sued by the mouse himself. His hair looks golden in the sun, Midas style. He asks how the call went. She downplays it as being just fine. And the two watches some Demeter kids make grass grow around Apollo campers' feet while they're shooting hoops. Fantastic. And if I was one of these Apollo campers, I would be furious. Furious. Anyone messing up my shot? Leave. Get out of here. Hermes kids are selling flying shoes at the camp store. Ares kids are lining the cabin with fresh barbed wire. Where's Clarice? The Hypnos cabin is snoring away, so Piper thinks it's just a normal day here at Camp Half-Blood. Now, the Aphrodite kids are trying to spy on Piper and Jason without being obvious, but Piper can see exactly what's going on, and she can see money changing hands, so clearly they have some bets on what's going on. Fantastic. Love this. Piper asks Jason if he slept well. He says no because of dreams, and Piper asks if they are about his past, and he says yes. And Piper doesn't push him because if he wants to share information, he will. The classic Rick Riordan special, which I think is good. I genuinely like that this is the instinct of these characters, and I think it's good for kids to read this. She is not stressing the situation, taking her mother's words of, quote, you can sense possibilities to heart. Jason then spins the basketball on his finger. Very impressive. I've never been able to do this. I've never taken the time to learn it because I would rather focus on things you actually do on a basketball court. But I will admit, it does look cool. I can't do it. Good for him. He warns that his memories are not good for any of us. And that was an intentional double take, not me stumbling over my words. And Piper thinks that he was going to say for us. So now she's worried that he remembered some girl from the past. I would hope that this is just her overthinking things, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
She sees possibilities, right?
I know, good and bad, I guess. But she doesn't let it get to her. Instead, she says they'll figure it out. He gives her a look like he hopes that she's right, and Jason says that he'll wait for the meeting with Annabeth and Rachel Elizabeth Dare to explain the dreams so he doesn't have to go through it twice. I'm assuming this will happen in the next set of chapters or so. Piper, again, just wants to focus on the joy of this moment. Jason asks how she can be in such a good mood. How can she be so certain that things will work out? And then we get this exchange. Because you're going to lead us. I'd follow you anywhere. Dangerous thing to say. I'm a dangerous girl. That I believe. Kiss, 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 kiss.
Come on,
kiss,
just do it.
Do it. Kiss her, kiss her.
Sha-la-la-la-la-la.
Yeah, exactly.
Camp Half-Blood.
He gets up and reaches for Piper's hand because apparently Leo has something prepped for them in the woods. It better be a romantic thing. But we'll see. It'd be so fun if Leo's like, I made you guys tacos again.
I mean, I'd be pretty happy with that.
I mean, that'd be pretty good. He reaches his hand down to actually help her up, but then Piper holds onto it a little bit longer, and then they're just standing holding hands for an extra beat. Great. She then tells Jason to hold on a second so that she can burn the card that Thalia gave her from the Hunters. I figured that this would be a swift no. I didn't think it would be this swift of a no. Love this. So funny. So hilarious. Piper vows to make the breaking hearts vow of the Aphrodite cabin. She wants to make that a rite of the past that is no longer needed. The cabin mates are all miffed that there was no kiss. Yeah, you're telling me. I'm also very upset about this. Piper is not stressing it, though. She'll be patient, and she can see good possibilities, so she's going to see one of those through. She then says, quote, let's go. We've got adventures to plan. And for anyone out there that wants to have a Percy Jackson-themed wedding, you should put this in your vows. You should end your vows with this, even if you don't want to have a Percy Jackson-themed wedding, and you want to sneakily put in a Percy Jackson thing. Do this. This is great. Ending that, that's a great ending to your vows. You should end your vows with this.
Yeah. Beautiful.
But that is the end of chapter 52. And that is the end of this episode of The Noose Olympian. I have retitled chapter 52, I See Good Possibilities. I didn't want to go anything quirky or whatever. It was a very sentimental chapter. I thought it deserved a sentimental title. Do you have a retitling?
This one was harder for me, but I think what I got was I Toppled a Monarchy.
Ooh, yeah. Go away, Drew. Bye-bye. Yeah. Love that. Love that. Well, I also love this, and I also love you. Thank you so much for joining on this episode. Stephen, this was a delight. Is there anything you want to promote out to the people?
There actually is for once.
Let's go.
I'm kind of excited. Yeah, so I have decided to spread my podcasting wings a little bit, and I'm going to be guesting on Pages Past with Jenna Buck, who I know has come onto the pod previously. I don't know exactly when the episode's going to come out, but I think it will be around the time this one drops.
Yes, something in that range, but we will have to see.
We'll have to see. If it's after all that, go check it out. If it's not, keep on the lookout for it. But if you want to hear me talk about a grown-up book and actually put on my doctor hat for a bit, I think it'd be really worth your time. So I'm excited to do it, and you should check it out.
Definitely. Go check it out. Stephen, thank you so much for joining. Listeners, thank you so much for listening. And until we find out what's going on, what magical surprise Leo has in store for the cute couple to be, until then, I'll see you later. Hello. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Newest Olympian. This podcast is created, hosted, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. I also run the social media and the website. Our editor is Sherry Guo. The music is by Bettina Campamanes and Brandon Grugel, and the art is by Jessica E. Boyd. If you can't get enough of the podcast, you can get involved in a couple of different ways. First, you can support us on Patreon, where you get bonus content. You can go to thenewestolympian.com/Patreon. You can also find us on social media. We're at Newest Olympian on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can go to our website, thenewestolympian.com, to learn more about the show. You can check out live shows that we've got coming near you at thenewestolympian.com/live. You can check out our merch page at thenewestolympian.com/merch. That's also where the TNO coffee lives. And for community stuff, we have a subreddit where you can chat with folks, reddit.com/r/thenewestolympian. And we also have the Discord, which is accessible to all folks on Patreon. Speaking of the Patreon, I want to give a shout out to our folks producing at the highest tier, our producer level patrons. Shout out to Kelsey Gillespie, the Damn Steam Nuggets, Vicky Garcia, Veronica Bartova, Frida Vikstrom, Megan Moon, Craig McRoberts, Taylor Payne, Sabrina Balsiger, Boney Pony, Polly Burridge, Nikki Harris, Tatiana Schmidt, Sandra Rose, Josh Sayer, Josh Wilkie, Abby Ryan, Ashton Gabrielson, Marco Redhouse, Sam Reeby, Riley Giddes, Mrs. O'Leary, Milo Kim, Sand Kopf, Julia Kendall, Rike, John Drillsma, Rayla Matthews, Sky Mallory, Persasabeth, Aiden Parziani, King Bastion, One Damn Distraction Coming Up, Ginger Spursboy, A Cup of Solace, Meg Roy, Bradimus Prime, Skylar Sisters, Scott Sheldon, Sophie, Natanya Page, Ann M. Thayer Cohen, Finley McLeod, Sarah Elise Arnson, Bella, Hayden Neal, Percy Jackson, Han Haley Hingelheimer Schmidt, Catherine Sloan, Jessica Phillips, Haley Mary, Jim Jam Koopy, Kitka Crumbs, Christine Parkin, and Andrea, not Andrea. If you want to help out the show in a non-monetary way, word of mouth helps the show so much. Whether you post about the show on social media or you reach out to someone directly, someone who you know is a big Percy Jackson fan, or someone you've been trying to convince to get into the Percy Jackson books, saying, hey, there's this podcast that's called The Newest Olympian. It's really good. You should check it out. Also, you could leave the show a rating and review on whatever podcasting app you're using. Whatever you do to spread the word of the show really does help. I'm appreciative to anyone who has done it in the past, and I'm appreciative to anyone who will do it in the future. But I'm just so thankful that you tuned into this episode, and I hope you tuned into our next episode, where we will be joined by Kelly Schubert to break down the final 4 chapters of The Lost Hero. But until then, I'll see you later. Hey, how's it going? It's me, ASMR Mike. So I'm currently still in the laundry room of Kelly's parents' place, and above me are 2 socktopusses. This is an item from IKEA that you can use to hang socks and underwear and stuff like that. It does, look like an octopus, and you're supposed to put socks on them, but you can put other stuff on as well. There's 2 of them in this laundry room dangling from a bar, and I'm just going to kind of fiddle around with the various clips that are attached to it. Thank you so much for listening.